My biggest regret in my 30s is not doing this sooner. I wish I could go back and tell myself what I know now. That sounded exactly like a Taylor Swift lyric. I think it is. Hey guys, welcome back, and if you're new here, hello, my name is Yui, and I'm committed to living my happiest life this year and checking things off my bucket list and generally just doing whatever the I want. All of this for the end goal of finding sustainable happiness and living a life that I'm really proud of, because I just don't feel like I'm there yet. So I quit my job in June, and because it's a bit of a heavier topic, I thought I would just eat dinner with you guys while I talk about it so it doesn't feel as heavy. I ordered Indian curry today, so itadakimasu. Ooh, spicy, good. So, I'm currently 35, and that's not really a typical time that people like to switch jobs unless they have the next step ready for them. Like they have another job offer or something. So first I want to talk about why I didn't quit sooner, because right now, after having done it, I wish I had. So the number one worry for me was pay. I wanted a paycheck, I wanted something that would supplement the household, and I wanted to feel independent. And that was really hard for me to let go of. And it was one of the better paying jobs that I've had in my time in Japan. So not working every day and making the amount that I was making, I felt very lucky, I was very grateful, and it was just really hard to let go of that. So the second thing was the discomfort of leaving what was comfortable. So I was comfortable with the pay, I was comfortable doing my job and knowing that I know all the aspects of my job. I had done this job for like 6 or 7 years at this point, so I knew it inside and out. You know those first day work jitters where you're just nervous about everything and you're not sure if you're gonna be good at it, there's so much to learn, it's overwhelming. Are you gonna, like the people you're working with? I had none of that anymore. It felt like a second home, like I could just go there, I know exactly what's expected of me, I know exactly what to do, and I was comfortable. But comfortable doesn't lead to happiness, and I should have known that sooner. And the third thing that I was really worried about was missing it. I didn't want to leave it and then feel like I shouldn't have, because that would have been my worst nightmare. Somewhere inside me for the last few years, I already felt like this isn't my forever place and I'm not gonna miss it and I'm gonna be fine. But thinking it and feeling it and taking that action are two completely separate things. And I think that's why it took me so long to make the decision that I did. So these were kind of the worries that I had going back and forth in my head for years. And now let's talk about the things that actually pushed me over the edge and got me to quit. So before I get into it, I just want to talk about what I was actually doing. So I was a trainer for a company that teaches English to children. My main job was to train the new people that would come in and teach the children, and also to evaluate the people that were already working there to make sure that what they were doing was meeting company standards. It was a lot of evaluating, it was a lot of meetings, it was a lot of situations where I was having difficult conversations or giving advice about things. And I was kind of in a middle position between management and the teachers. I started with the company as a regular teacher, and I think like a year or two in, they asked if I wanted to be a trainer, and I accepted, and I had been doing that ever since. And I actually really enjoyed it. I learned how to talk to a lot of people because there are over like 100 teachers at this school, and I have spoken to each person individually and have had good and difficult meetings with most of them. So it taught me a lot about how to communicate with different types of people. It was also exciting to work in a new team, learn from people, learn new things, learn new skills, and add to the job that I was already doing, which made each day feel a lot more exciting and a lot more challenging, and I really, really enjoyed that. So when I say I quit my job as a trainer. I still do the teaching portion. So I basically demoted myself, I guess you could say, back to where I started because I just wasn't feeling it anymore, and I'm gonna tell you why. So one of the reasons that I left was I didn't feel like I was being heard. And I don't want to sound ungrateful. And I'm not going to say that I'm talking about everyone, but with certain people that I was working with, I didn't feel heard. I would try to raise concerns or ask questions, give my opinions and suggestions on things that I think could enhance, our jobs and everyone else's jobs. And a lot of the time, it just didn't, the communication just wasn't there. And I'm fully aware that, people don't have to listen to me and they don't have to take my suggestions. But I think for anyone in any position at any job, if you don't feel heard, you really don't feel like people care. It's really a slap in the face. In certain instances, I'd be in meetings where I'm talking to an individual and they just refuse to make eye contact with me. At a certain point, you're just tired of it, and it's like, I can't anymore. Ooh, I'm getting all worked up, so I'm gonna take a bite of this samosa. Instant happiness. But I think the biggest thing that made me say, okay, hey, I'm leaving, was the lack of growth. Things were changing on my team, but not in ways that I always agreed with, and that's okay. But when things got to a point where I didn't feel fully present anymore, because where my mind was at and where my heart wanted to be and what the company was doing, was the distance was becoming greater and greater. At that point, it's just not a good fit anymore. It doesn't benefit either side, and I don't want to waste anyone's time. And having that kind of disconnect creates so much stress. So with the communication issues that were happening and this feeling of complacency where I just felt stuck in this team and this position that I was in. There was no up, there was no down. We were a team, we were all doing the same thing, we were all responsible for the same tasks. But there were no positions within the team. So once you're on the team, you're on the team, and there's no place to go from there. You can't get a promotion from there. I guess you could go to like a different department maybe, or do a different job, but that's not something I was looking to do. And when I sat and thought about it, I'm like, I've been doing this for 6 years and it's been fun, it's been great, I'm so grateful, but I also don't want to know exactly what I'm going to be making at 40. Not that that's a bad thing. This is just my personal opinion and where I was at. I wanted to make more. I wanted to do more. I wanted to learn more. And I was at a point where I didn't feel like I was going to get those things. And for the last 6 years, my pay had been the same. I know, back home in Canada, we would negotiate a raise, or they tell you like, each year you get so much of a raise and things like that. But that's not the kind of thing that happens very often in Japanese workplaces, depending on your contract, of course, but that wasn't the case for me. So knowing that I had gotten the same pay for 6 to 7 years, I knew that the next 6 to 7 years, it probably wasn't going to change unless there was some kind of major revolution or something. So as scary as it was to say, I'm going to leave this and this cushy, comfortable situation for something that I don't have lined up, something I don't know yet. As scary as that was, it also felt right, because I knew if I didn't let this go, and my husband said this to me so many times, he's like, if you don't let this one go, you're not going to be pushed to work on this, which is what you actually want to do. Do you even know what you want to do? And I'm like, not really right now. But in order to even have the time and the mental capacity to figure that out, because I was so stressed that on my days off, I wasn't even able to think or work on anything. I was just mad, or I was in bed sleeping because I had migraines from my stress. So it just wasn't working anymore, which leads me to stress. Oh my goodness, stress is so bad for us, and I knew that, I know that, but I didn't act on that. I was so angry and frustrated for so long that I feel like every time I came home from work, I'd really have nothing nice to say. It was just me complaining, and I think, you know, your loved ones are understanding and accepting to a point, but there comes a point where they're like, oh my gosh, then do something about it. Like, you clearly are not happy. Change something. And when someone is complaining but not changing anything, it's very frustrating for those around you. And I've been on the other side of that, and I've also been that person, so like I get it. And it got to the point where Matt was like, I think you need to quit. And if you're not gonna push yourself to do it, I will push you for you. And turns out I needed that push because it was messing with my emotional and mental health. It got really bad. Maybe I'll do a video about all of that at some point, but my migraines were out of this world. I was getting at least probably about 10 migraine, not headaches, guys, migraine attacks every month. And each one would last between 3 days to a week. And most of these attacks wouldn't go away in 3 days. So that was really bad. And I was taking close to 30 ibuprofen tablets a month when I did the math with my doctor. And he's like, this is not okay. And I'm a lot better now. So that's a story for a different day, but I just wanted to mention how much it affected my physical health. It wasn't just about me being upset or frustrated. It was really messing with my actual day-to-day life and my quality of life. And when it gets that far, you really have to make changes. I think your body and mind will let you know when things don't feel right and you have to make a change. And I think that started happening for me like 3 years ago. Yeah, those were the main reasons that I left. I talked so much, I forgot to eat. I'm gonna eat a little bit because I'm still very hungry. Do you guys like Indian curry? If you are in a work situation right now that you're not quite happy with and you're not sure if you're quite there in terms of quitting, just maybe think about the red flags I talked about, which were communication. Is it there? Are you respected and are you heard? Number 2, are you growing, and do you have opportunities to grow and advance in your position or within your company? And are you excited about those opportunities? And number 3, how does your body and mind feel? Are you stressed? We all have some stress, but are you stressed in a way that's ruining your quality of life? Is it hurtful and damaging to your days off? And a side note here, I know that me being able to leave that position and go back to just the teaching portion and taking a big pay cut is something I couldn't have done without the support of my family. So I know it's much easier said than done to be like, quit your job, change your job. But I think there's always a way to do it, and you can always work towards it as well. So yeah, just a side note there. And now, how I've been feeling since quitting in June. So for the last 2 months since quitting, I have worked completely from home. It's fully remote now. And obviously I haven't done any meetings with anybody anymore, and I have way less responsibility now. And I talked about in the beginning that I was afraid I was gonna miss it. Like, I wish I hadn't left and that I should have stayed and I made the wrong decision. That has not happened once yet. It almost feels like it's been more than 2 months since I left that position, but I've been in such a great place and I wish I had done it sooner. I feel like I gave the majority of my 30s to working and doing something that much earlier on I knew my heart really wasn't in it anymore. I did my best. I think I did a good job, but it wasn't feeding me. It wasn't feeding my soul and making me happy in the ways that I'd hope work would in some way. Now that I've released a lot of the stress I was holding that was related to work, I now have better physical health, which is awesome. I've had way less migraine attacks. I haven't taken an ibuprofen in months. You guys. I used to take 30 a month for like the last 2 or 3 years. I think the other reason my health is better is that I have time to focus on my health because I'm working remotely. I'm working a lot less now. I have the mental capacity to turn inwards and be like, what does my body need? How do I nourish it? how do I take care of it, and I can make time for those things. I'm an overall happier person, which is great. I feel like myself again, and as scary as it is, kind of being in this position where I'm like, I don't know where I'm going next, being able to do YouTube, that was one of the big goals I've had for like years that I just never did for so many reasons. Getting to do that and having the time to do that is something I'm so grateful for, and that I really don't take for granted, because I know me 3-4 months ago didn't have time for this. And making a bucket list for the year, if you haven't watched that video, I'll link that somewhere on the screen. But making that bucket list and just being like, hey, I'm just gonna try to be a happier, better person, because I've just been stressed and angry, and I feel like if I'm pursuing things that I like I'll find something, because I don't know what the thing is quite yet, that's gonna make me fully happy, and I'm still searching for it. But doing YouTube and filming things and sharing things, it makes me really happy, and I'm so happy to be able to do that right now. And checking things off my bucket list. I'm very close to getting my driver's license here, and I'm very close to going to Machu Picchu soon. So doing things like that, I feel like are gonna inspire me to make different kinds of content, and also maybe I'll meet people along the way, I'll find something along the way that I want to pursue even further. So I want to just thank everybody for being here, and I want to thank Matt for pushing me to quit. And oh no, I'm not an emotional person. For pushing me to leave, and then being so incredibly supportive and insisting that my health and my happiness right now come first, and we'll figure out the rest together. And that has been so calming and has been such a huge safety net for me. So I want to thank my husband Matt for giving me the space to do that and being there to celebrate the small wins with me. So that is me quitting my job at 35 and not really knowing where it's gonna go, but letting you know that it was the best decision I made, because it was a decision I made for me. Putting my health and my happiness first was one of the best things that I could have possibly done for myself this year. That should have been on my bucket list. I should have put that on my bucket list. It's a huge change, and I'm proud that I made it. So thank you for watching. I hope it was somewhat insightful or helpful if you are kind of in a place where you're unsure about your job or what to do next. This is all just my experience. I am not an expert in anything that I talked about today, but I feel like I can't really be the only one that's gone through these emotions when it comes to work and stress. So wanted to share that today. Like I said, I talked too much and I didn't eat, so I'm gonna get to eating now. But I hope you're having an awesome day or evening, depending on when you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one.